Welcome to our new feature, Humor in the Bible. This is a dramatic situation, and yet there's humor in it. I want to talk about Rhoda. No, not Rhoda Morgenstern of TV fame. This is Rhoda in the Bible. Evidently, Rhoda means rosebush in the Greek, but Rhoda is a biblical character who I think was in a situation which I find humorous, and I think you will too as I describe it. But it starts with tragedy. It starts with martyrdom, of the martyrdom of James, and then Peter is imprisoned. During the Passover season, Peter is imprisoned, and Herod Agrippa I, the grandson of Herod, the famous Herod who was alive at the time of the birth of Jesus Christ. This is his grandson, Herod Agrippa I. He evidently has decided he's going to execute Peter after the festival is over. He's going to execute Peter. But Peter is miraculously released by an angel. An angel comes and delivers Peter. So once again, we have during the Passover, the release of a captive, in this case Peter. And meantime, as he's released, and he can't even believe it at first, he thinks he's in a dream. And then he realizes, no, it's real. I'm out. And so he goes to where people are praying for him. So let's pick it up at that point in Acts the 12th chapter, where people are praying for Peter to be freed and to be saved, because he's in danger of execution. So when he had considered this, he came to which is his deliverance, right? He came to the house of Mary, the mother of John, whose surname was Mark. All right, so here is John Mark. Now, many times Jews have a Hebrew name and a name that they use in the general public. My first name is Meir in Hebrew, and the name generally that I use is Mark. So he was Yohanan, and then also he had the name Mark, and probably this is the mark of the Gospel of Mark. So his mother Mary is where Peter went, and you know that traditionally Peter had a close relationship with Mark. That's also traditional. So he goes to the mother of John Mark, and people are there gathered to pray for him. And their prayers have been answered. He's been released, and he's been saved. So when he had considered this, he came to the house of Mary, the mother of John, whose surname was Mark, where many were gathered together praying. And as Peter knocked at the door of the gate, a girl named Rhoda came to answer. When she recognized Peter's voice, because of her gladness, she did not open the gate, but ran in and announced that Peter stood before the gate. So she's so excited, here he's knocking, let me in. He's running away. He's got to get there, probably pay his respects, and then find, what's the best way out of here? Where can I hide, because he's still in danger of being killed. So instead of letting him in, she gets so excited, she runs and she says, Peter's here. Well, yeah, but let him in. He's knocking there. But she runs and says, Peter's here. She gets so excited. But they said to her, you are beside yourself. So here they're arguing. No, it's not Peter. Well, whoever it is, why don't you let him in? Instead of arguing about it, and besides, if it is Peter, he's in danger. But here they're arguing, is it Peter, isn't it Peter? And yet she kept insisting that it was so. So here he is knocking, and they're having an argument. She just says, it is Peter. How could it be Peter? Yes, it is Peter. And then finally, so they said, it is his angel. Well, now wait a minute. If they're willing to believe that God sent an angel, that there's an angel outside knocking on the door, if you can believe that, why can't you believe that Peter has been released? I mean, if you can believe an angel is knocking at your door, why can't you believe that God has released Peter? So it's not Peter, it's his angels. That's just kind of funny. And meantime, Peter's knocking all this time. Now, Peter continued knocking, and when they opened the door and saw him, they were astonished. So I see humor in this situation. Humor in the fact that instead of letting him in, she runs. They don't think it's Peter. He's there knocking. They think it's his angel. And somehow they don't want to believe it's Peter. They want to believe it's a spirit being, But if a spirit being can be there, then certainly Peter can be there. So anyway, finally they let him in, but motioning to them with his hand to keep silent. So now they were probably probably they were all apologetic. Oh, we're so sorry we let you stand there and knock. We should have let you in right away. And there was probably quite a lot of excitement and people maybe, shouting, crying, laughing, whatever. And so he had, in later years in Eastern Europe, they would say, Shah! But motioning to them with his hand to keep silent, he actually, nowadays in Israel, they say, Sheket, bavakasha. Silence, please. But motioning to them with his hand to keep silent, he declared to them how the Lord had brought him out of the prison. And he said, "Go, tell these things to James and to the brethren." James, who's, the half-brother of Jesus Christ. "Go tell these things to James and to the brethren." And he departed and went to another place. And that certainly makes sense, that would happen. Let me keep reading a little bit more. "Then as soon as it was day, there was no small stir among the soldiers about what had become of Peter. But when Herod had searched for him and not found him, he examined the guards and commanded that they should be put to death." So Herod was so embarrassed by this episode, and he couldn't believe that it happened. So the guards were accountable. So actually they lost their lives over this. But he went down from Judea to Caesarea and stayed there. Well, now the guards who had been guarding Peter were put to death for letting him escape, and he was never found. Now Herod Agrippa, though, you'd think would still be looking for him. But if you keep reading the account, he very soon after dies himself. He goes north for a trip and doesn't come back alive. He dies very quickly afterwards. So that pretty much would take Peter off the hook. The king who's looking for him has died, and pretty much that ends the episode. And so Peter has been saved. So as I said, it's a very serious account overall, but there's that interlude in the middle where I think you find quite a bit of humor. And I think that if you look for humor in the Bible, it is there. And so every once in a while, we're going to have this feature of humor in the Bible.